In this initial iOS 11 video, we're going to take a look at over 100 new features that you'll find in the first iOS 11 beta that was released to developers. So let's have a look. One of the first things I like to talk about is the new iPad dock. The dock can now hold 15 apps at the same time. So you can see I just added an app just like that, super easy, right? But it can hold way more than that. So let's go ahead and add 15 additional apps. Now, let me show you something real quick. You can actually select multiple apps at the same time, just like this. And you can see the counter, got 7 so far. This is awesome. 8, 9, and that would just drag them down to the dock and release, and now we have 15 apps in the dock at the same time. Incredible. The dock also has a special little section for continuity and proactive apps. So if you're using continuity, for instance, if I open up the clock app on my iPhone, I can pick up right where I left off, and that dock is smart enough to know what apps I might want to use next. Now the new app switcher, you can still invoke it using a double press of the home button, but as you can see, it's completely different than the app switcher on iOS 10. You can also just flick up like that to invoke the app switcher. So it's going to take some getting used to, but I know you guys can get it down in no time flat. You'll also notice that Control Center is now a part of the app switcher. So whenever you invoke the app switcher, Control Center is right there waiting on you, along with the dock itself. But how do you go about removing apps from the app switcher? Well, you no longer use little swipe gestures like you did in the past. See, when you try to swipe like that, nothing happens, right? Instead, you just long press to reveal the X and tap the X to remove the apps. Just like that. Now in iOS 11 Beta 1, there is no home screen in the app switcher like in times past. So to get back to the home screen, you just tap somewhere on the outside, like that. Or you can also just press the home button to get back to the home screen. Fairly simple and straightforward, right? Alright, now let's talk about how to multitask in iOS 11. So to do so, let's first of all open up an app. So I'm going to open up the App Store. How about that? Alright. So now that the App Store is open, just flick up to reveal the dock, and now tap and drag the app that I want to multitask with, just like that. So now I have the Reminders app sitting on top of the App Store app, and I can interact with both. And I can drag that over to the side to move it out of the way, and I can drag it back over, and I can even hide it just by swiping it over to the side like that, and then bring it back like that. Pretty cool, right? Now you can't hide it on the left side, but you can hide it on the right side. So that's cool and all, but what about split view? Well, you can transition directly to split view just by swiping down on an app like that from the top. And now we're in split view. And the nice thing about iOS 11 split view is that you have more ratio options. So of course you have the 80-20 view, you have the 50-50 view, but now you have a 20-80 view like that. That is really cool. I always felt that the app on the rightmost side was needlessly gimped in iOS 10, but now in iOS 11, that's no longer the case. You also have persistent app pairings. So when you have two apps paired together, they stay that way until you unpair them. Really nice. So if you're in the app switcher, you can see those two paired apps together. So I just swipe up and you can see my App Store / Reminders pair, just like that. In iOS 11, drag and drop is a very big deal. You can drag and drop URLs, photos, pretty much whatever, text. Watch me drag and drop a photo from 9to5Mac over to the Notes app. But I'm not going to stop there. Watch me select some text and drag that text over to the note. So highlight some text, tap and drag, bam, just like that. But I'm not going to stop there. Watch me drag this address or this link over to this note. So let me go up and find the link. There we go. Tap, hold, drag. So now that link is posted right into that note. But what about dragging multiple items over at the same time? Can you do that? Of course you can. Watch me select multiple items. So I'm going to select this first item, tap hold, and just tap each remaining item that I want to add like that. Drag over, release. It's that easy, folks. Awesome. But as I alluded to earlier, selecting multiple items is extremely handy for the home screen. You can actually use that same technique to drag multiple items to different pages on the home screen. So I'm selecting, as you can see, 4 app icons, and I can easily drag those over to another page. So maintaining and managing your home screen is much easier in iOS 11. There's also a new quick type keyboard flick action in iOS 11. So instead of having to hold shift or pressing shift and then tapping your special key, now you can just swipe down the flick and select a special character like that. I have to tell you, it's been a long time coming for a feature like this. I've been looking forward to this feature for some time now, and I'm happy it's finally here. Now on iOS 11, the iPad Pro 12.9 inch has 1 column of widgets, which is, in my opinion, much better than before we had that kind of 2-column view, which was a little just odd in my opinion. I much prefer it this way. Instant Notes is a new feature that allows you to tap on the lock screen with your Apple Pencil to immediately start taking a note. That means you don't even have to unlock your iPad first to start taking a note. This is great for when you need to take a quick note and you don't have time to unlock your device, find the Notes app, open it up, etc. And until you unlock your device, your iPad stays secure. You can even resume your notes just by tapping the screen again like that. Really awesome feature for note takers. And you can also instantly mark up screenshots. Once you take one, just tap the screenshot in the bottom right hand corner and use your Apple Pencil to begin marking it up immediately. And once you finish marking up the screenshot, you can use the share button in the upper right hand corner to share with any of the apps on your iPad. Super simple, super easy. And the same principle applies to PDFs. You can export an entire web page as a PDF and begin marking it up in iOS 11. There's also inline drawing in the Notes app, so you don't have to go into some special drawing view. You can just start drawing and it appears right there inline on your note. And then you can pick up typing right where you left off. It's a totally seamless experience and a big win for those of you who use iPads in the classroom. I think you guys are going to love this. The Notes app in iOS 11 also gets scanning functionality, so if you tap the plus button, tap scan documents, you can choose between an auto and manual scan. You can also choose the type of scan you want to have, so you have color, grayscale, black and white, photo. I'm going to choose grayscale in this example. So there's the auto mode, which doesn't work great right now, but again, it's in beta. I'm going to just go ahead and take it manually, and now you can set your points for your scan to get it just right like that. And then tap use scan, and there is my grayscale scan just like that. So let's talk about some other stuff. There's a new passcode UI that you'll notice in iOS 11. Here is the iPhone 7 Plus, and there's that updated passcode UI, looks really good. But not just that, there's a new lock screen fade animation. So when you wake your device, you can see it fade in the view. And to go along with those things, there's also a new app launch animation, which is different than iOS 10. I like it a lot. There's also bold text in Spotlight for your keywords. Not a huge difference, but you know, subtle details. In iOS 11, the classic signal bars are back, and you also get a slightly redesigned now playing interface on the lock screen. And seriously, thumbs up for Lionel Richie, man. Thumbs up for Lionel Richie. You also get a redesigned battery status icon, as you can see there. Slightly redesigned. And no text for dock icons. This is the same on the iPhone and the iPad. And iOS 11 now includes a combined Siri and Search settings panel, which is right here. So we'll open that up. And inside, you're going to see Siri and search suggestions combined. There's also a new Type to Siri feature under accessibility options. So this allows you to, yep, you guessed it, type to Siri instead of talk to Siri. Just like that. There's also a disable press for Siri option. So when you press and hold, nothing happens. You have to use Hey Siri instead. And when you do, you'll notice a new updated redesigned Siri interface for iOS 11. So a new font, there's even a new little glowing Siri orb that looks futuristic. Very iOS 11-like. There's also an updated Siri voice, listen. Siri, you have a new voice.
Oh, I've been taking human lessons.
Siri, do you have a new voice?
I've just been practicing.
And you can find your Siri and suggestions permissions right at the bottom of the Siri and search panel. in iOS 11. How do you say goodbye in Chinese?
再见，再见。
iOS 11 affords greater customization over your AirPod controls. So you can go in and assign a next track or previous track action to the left or right AirPod, just like I've done here. Let me show you how it works. See how I just skip back? Simple. There's a new one-handed keyboard mode for left or right hand users. So just tap and hold the globe icon and you can choose your keyboard mode like that. So there's the left hand keyboard. Here's the right hand keyboard. You can tap that little button to go back to normal. So let me just show you typing with the left hand keyboard. I think I still need a little bit more practice. There's no dark mode in iOS 11, but there is a new smart invert option, and this allows you to invert your display without touching things like images. Now, it doesn't work perfectly, but if you use invert mode for a pseudo dark mode, you're going to appreciate smart invert a lot more. You can see here, I have invert on, yet it's not touching my images. Now, when I go back to classic invert, you're going to notice a difference here. It's actually going to touch my images and it's going to make them look terrible. So let me show you. Here's the difference right here, folks. See what I mean? In iOS 11, when an app is using your location, you're going to see a blue status bar at the top of the display, just like that. Here's something that health app users will definitely appreciate. Syncing via iCloud is now here in iOS 11. We've seen the writing on the wall for some time now, but 32-bit apps no longer work in iOS 11. In fact, if you try to install one, you're going to get an error message telling you, nope, ain't happening. In iOS 11 Beta 1, the volume HUD is hidden when playing back music. So I'm playing back music now. I'm going to try to adjust volume. Notice no volume HUD. You can switch keyboards on the fly when dictating text. Well, ciao. Ni hao. You can now play back FLAC audio files in iOS 11. I'm going to select info here so you can see that this is a FLAC audio file, 14.9 megabytes. And now I'm just going to tap on it and play it back. Yeah, you can't do that in previous versions of iOS, but you can in iOS 11. Now, I showed this with the iPad, but I wanted to re-emphasize how cool this new feature is. You take a screenshot, right? The little screenshot window appears in the bottom left-hand corner. You tap that, and then you tap the share button. You can quickly share that screenshot without visiting the Photos app at all. That is such a great feature, folks. For someone like me who takes screenshots all the time, I love that new feature. And likewise, being able to quickly create a PDF and mark it up in iOS 11 is very nice. But one thing I really want to highlight here is how easy it is to turn an entire web page into a PDF. So this entire web page, just quickly turn it into a PDF, and then you can mark it up with ease just by tapping the little markup button in the upper right hand corner, or you can share it with whoever you want to share it with, or whatever app you want to share it with. So the point is that you don't have to have an iPad to take advantage of this feature. You don't have to have an Apple Pencil to take advantage of this feature. You can mark up right there using your finger, just like that. And after you finish, tap the share button to send it off. The calculator app gets a brand new icon in iOS 11, but not just that, it also gets a brand new UI in iOS 11. So there it is in portrait mode, and here it is in landscape mode. Pretty, huh? But not just the calculator app, the iTunes Store gets some love as well. It gets a new icon, as you can see there. And the App Store too gets a new app icon, as you can see right there. But the App Store actually gets a complete redesign, a complete overhaul. I mean, from top to bottom, as you can see here, this thing is gorgeous looking. I really like the job that Apple did on the new App Store. It is phenomenal. You have curated content there to highlight the latest and noteworthy apps, and it's using multimedia in a way that really entices you to want to download these apps. I think developers are going to love this. And while the main tab is called Today, you can also scroll backwards in time to see what you may have missed. And there are now dedicated tabs for both games and apps. So here's the Games tab, have all of your gaming content, categories, etc. And here's the Apps tab. So completely separate tabs for apps and games. There's also a redesigned App Store page, and again, the theme folks, they outdid themselves. It's a really good looking redesign for the individual app pages. And again, developers are going to love this. You have your ratings at the top. You have whether or not it's an editor's choice. You have your ranking. You have the age rating. You have your ratings and reviews below, and little excerpts for editor's choice. And a really nice hero image at the top, along with the link to version history, which is higher than it used to be in previous versions of iOS, and some related app information there. There's also a new purchase overlay. So when you purchase an app, or when you try to purchase an app, I should say, the overlay is the same one you get when using Apple Pay. So it's much more familiar, much more streamlined, and much more cohesive of an experience. Now, one thing I don't like about it is that 10 tap shortcut where you could tap 10 times on one of the tabs to refresh the App Store is now gone. It's a thing of the past in iOS 11. Now, there is a new Files app. This is actually, I think, the only new app in iOS 11. So not a whole bunch of new apps, but the one that is new is pretty big. Files is basically a rebranded and upgraded version of the iCloud Drive app. So you're still not working with a typical file system like you would find on a Mac, but you do get more Mac-centric features like custom tags, and you also have the ability to integrate this with other services such as Google Drive and various other cloud providers. But one of the really nice features is that you can now share content stored in the Files app. How's this for random? The Timers tab in the stock clock app now features the ability to configure seconds along with hours and minutes. So if you want to set a 5-second timer, totally possible. In fact, let's do so right now. Bam. One of my biggest pet peeves about iOS for the longest time now has been the fact that messages don't sync on iCloud, but now in iOS 11 they do. That definitely deserves a finally. iOS 11 features a new updated quick reply keyboard, and also an updated iMessage app interface with much easier to access iMessage apps, and 2 new Messages app effects. So the first effect is called Echo. I think I like that one. And the next effect is called Spotlight. Which one do you like better? The stock weather app seems to have a slightly readjusted UI. Maybe the text is just a little bit bigger. And the podcast app definitely received an update. It now looks much more like the stock music app. You have the now playing interface, you have the mini player, all that jazz. The music app gains new sharing features under the For You tab. So you can see there in the upper right hand corner, there's my little avatar. And then I can accept follow request if I want to do so. There's Zach, I'll accept. And you can see who I'm following and my followers. And I also get recommendations on what friends are listening to. So you can see the little avatar icon in the bottom right hand corner of each album. Safari receives some UI changes in iOS 11. Some are subtle, some not so subtle. For instance, the status bar is now rounded. The tabs and the tab switcher are around it. The reading list gets that new iOS 11 makeover, and the look of bookmarks are slightly tweaked. Now the media player in iOS 11 has been completely changed. As you can see here, it's completely updated, has a brand new look, and I like it a lot better. It looks a lot more modern. Those dark buttons, you can mute, exit out, full screen, skip back 15, skip forward 15. Safari View Controller got a subtle update, as you can see there. Nothing too different, but an update nonetheless. Safari scrolling now matches iOS. That was expected. In fact, we did a video on it not too long ago. So now scrolling in Safari is much faster, and I have to say I prefer it this way over the way it used to be. As you can probably tell, the Notes app got a lot of love in iOS 11. Another new feature is the ability to insert tables, and you can readjust those tables just like that. There's also an updated swipe UI, so when you swipe like that to delete a note or to lock a note or to move a note, you get this new UI. There's also the ability to pin notes. So if you swipe to the right, you can pin a note to the top. So you can always remember those important notes. You can also change the paper type for a specific note by tapping the share button, scrolling over, and selecting change paper. And now you can choose from a grid view or ruled view. There's the grid view. iOS 11 also features an updated Notes app typeface. It's very subtle though. You have to pay attention, but look at the A. See that difference? Notes in iOS 11 also gets an updated formatting UI. Very elegant looking. I like it. There's also the ability to search handwritten notes, and this actually syncs over iCloud, so if you write a note on your iPad with your Apple Pencil, you can actually search for it on your iPhone. iOS 11 lets you take a live photo of an in-progress FaceTime call, and that lets you capture those special moments and save them to your camera roll. Just like that. To switch cameras in FaceTime for iOS 11, simply tap the picture-in-picture window like this. You can now edit your key photo for live photos, so if you don't like the image that's automatically assigned, that one's kind of terrible, you can simply drag over to the frame you want. I like that one right there, and then tap Make Key Photo, and that saves it as the key photo for your live photo. But it doesn't stop there, you can also trim a live photo. So just go back into edit mode, and then tap like that and drag to trim to just the right length. All right, and then tap done. Now let's play it back, and it starts right where we started the trim. But it doesn't stop there. There's also live photo effects. So if you swipe up on a live photo, you'll find 3 new effects: loop, bounce, and long exposure. And you see previews of each effect. I'm gonna tap bounce. I really like that one. You can see the live photo update to say bounce in the upper left-hand corner instead of live. So you see the effect is applied. The Photos app now supports GIF animations. I just saved it to my camera roll and it plays right within the Photos app. You can also watch memories in portrait mode. Couldn't do that in previous versions of iOS or iOS 10 because that was the only version with memories. You can also create custom watch faces from your photos directly from iOS 11. So just tap the share button, tap create watch face, and now you can choose which type of watch face you want to create. I'm going to create a kaleidoscope watch face. And there we go, folks. It's that easy. And from there, you can customize it to your liking. The phone app also receives some UI changes. Here's the dialer, and here's the favorites tab. You can see those iOS 11 centric changes there. There's also a new feature to auto-answer calls after a set period of time. You can find that in the accessibility options under call audio routing. And once you have this enabled, you can set a specific time interval to auto-answer calls. So after 3 seconds, the phone call will auto-answer. Mail app also got some iOS 11 centric UI changes, as you can see here, as did the Settings app. You see the new heading at the top. But the Settings app got a lot of changes actually. If we go in, we're gonna look at background app refresh options now. Now you have the option to enable background app refresh for both Wi-Fi and cellular, Wi-Fi only, or you can turn it off, of course. Now, if you try to erase your device while an iCloud upload is in progress, you're gonna get this backup warning. What if you have a broken home button and you want to shut down your device? Well, now iOS 11 helps you out. There is now a shutdown option in Settings General, and this will invoke the power down screen, so you can access this even if you have a broken home button. Very, very handy. In iOS 11, your email accounts and your passwords are all consolidated into one spot. So you have all of your accounts here, and you also have all of your app and website passwords. There's a new try to prevent cross-site tracking option in Safari's preferences. This is something Apple noted during its WWDC 2017 keynote. There's also a new emergency SOS feature that you can activate by pressing the sleep button rapidly 5 times in quick succession, like that. There aren't a bunch of new wallpapers in iOS 11, but there is this one right here, and it's an aerial shot of a beach setting that looks super serene. I want to be there. There's a new numeric keypad in iOS 11. You're going to see that occasionally as you venture throughout the OS. There's also an option to offload unused apps, which will uninstall the apps but keep the app data. Very smart. And along with that, there's a new iPhone storage panel, which allows you to see how much storage you have on your device and to optimize your device's storage. And from here, you can also individually offload apps. So again, what offloading does is it will delete the app itself, but maintain the app data. So if you want to ever reinstall the app, you can pick right back up where you left off. It differs from deleting an app because deleting an app deletes all of the associated app data as well. All right, so I'm reinstalling Overcast after offloading it, and you can see all of my data is still there. Awesome new feature, I love this feature. And in iOS 11, you can disable auto join on an access point by access point basis. So just go in, flip the switch, and it'll no longer auto join that Wi-Fi network. iOS 11 features a new persistent banner type notification, which appears to replace the old school alert type notification. Persistent banners stay on screen until dismissed or until your device times out. iOS 11 features something that we've been wanting for quite some time now, and that of course is a customizable control center, but not just customizable, it actually is dynamic, so you can use 3D touch on the various widgets inside the control center to access additional controls, as you can see right here. The advantage of this is that control center is now relegated to a single page, so you're not swiping between different pages to locate the controls that you need. So everything is in one single place. But as I mentioned, you can also go into settings in Customize Control Center, add additional options. So just go into Control Center, look at all those controls. Find a control that you want to add, for instance, alarm, and you can use the little drag handle to reorder. Now when I invoke Control Center, look where alarm is, right there at the top of the Customize control area. So I can 3D touch and create an alarm or start a stopwatch or start a timer. There's also a new cellular data toggle in the main toggle section. That is something that a lot of people have wanted for a long time. And not just that, there's a new personal hotspot toggle, so I can make personal hotspot discoverable without actually having to go into the settings app. Wonderful. There's also built-in screen recording. This is an option you can add into Control Center, so you can capture your screen on video. You can even record your voice if you want to. See, it's recording right now. Whoever thought you would see this in iOS? I never thought I would, to be honest with you. But I'm glad it's here. So once you're finished, just tap the status bar, tap stop, and you're gonna find your recording in the Photos app. And I'm playing it back right now. That's wild, for real. That's crazy to see this in iOS. There's also a built-in Apple TV remote that you can add to Control Center. Folks, there's so many features in iOS 11. Which one is your favorite feature? If you appreciated this video, please thumbs up, subscribe, let me know in the comment section. This is Jeff with 9 to 5 Mac. Stay tuned for more videos, folks.